Welcome, everybody, to week number 1 of Forward. I'm so pumped that you're here connecting and learning. Forward is our spiritual growth initiative that I believe we will look back on years down the road and say, not only as a church, but as individuals, was one of the greatest times of growth in our relationship with God we've ever experienced. You know, Christ Church has been a group of people going forward for the last 15 years. But I believe that what takes place in the next 6 weeks will serve to propel us into the next 15 years. Now, many of you are excited to be back in group again. You've had great experiences and you've grown to know and love many people, and you know the power of community and what you can learn from each other. Others of you are jumping in for the very first time, and I want to say thanks so much for taking that courageous step. I believe that if you give it 6 weeks, by the end of October, you can literally be a different person than you are right now. We're going to be diving into a study of the life of Joshua and his leadership of taking the Hebrew people from 400 years of slavery and 40 years in the wilderness into the promised land that God has prepared for them. Now, in no way do I want to equate what we are stepping into as a church during Forward as being the exact same thing as a nation of people after years of slavery walking into a land that God had promised them. That's not it. I do think there's a ton we can learn on how we move from where we are now to the place where God wants us to be. And I'm excited to take this journey together. Now, as we go into the next 6 weeks, you're going to have to listen to this through essentially 2 separate earbuds, or AirPods, or headphones, if that works better for you. Through one ear, you'll need to listen and experience this story as it pertains to Christ Church, meaning we're asking everyone who's a part of the church to consider how God might want them to be involved with an initiative we've laid out and how we think He is directing us to go forward over the next 2 years. Just to be clear, I'm asking us to believe that collectively we can pull together our resources to the tune of $4 million so that we can continue to do more and better ministry and to build a facility that truly is for the people of Camden. And I'm asking all of us to journey through this story of Joshua, asking God how He might want to lead us forward together. Now, in the other ear, we're going to need to be listening and experiencing these things and how they pertain to us individually. Meaning, if there's something else that God has for me specifically, what is it going to take for me to take next steps forward to see that become a reality? Now, when we come to the book of Joshua, we're joining a story already in progress. After 400 years in captivity to the Egyptians, the Hebrew people have been led to freedom by Moses, and after trudging through the desert wilderness for 40 years, they are on the doorstep of a land promised to them by God. Moses has just died and been buried, and the reins of leadership have been passed to Joshua. And the task he has is to move the entire nation of people from outside the promised land into the promised land. Now we're kind of guessing here, but there are some 600,000 men among the Hebrew people. So it's possible we're talking about maybe 2 million people. And the first instruction God gives so casually, like it's no big deal, is to get those people across the Jordan River. Now, before Joshua or the people do anything or go anywhere or try to move forward, God is going to reassure him with what he can count on God to do. And then he's going to encourage Joshua with what is needed on his part. And one message of encouragement is repeated 3 times. Here's the phrase: be strong and courageous. Be strong, right? Or resolute, committed, focused. And be courageous, or be brave. Joshua, as you go forward into what I have for you, you're going to need to be strong and courageous. Now, why do you think God needs to say this repeatedly? Well, it's likely because he has some fears. You know, fear and discouragement will always paralyze you from moving forward. And I won't take time to drill down on that. You're going to do that with your group. What I want you to notice is that wherever God calls you, he never wants fear to stop you, which is why God makes this promise. Just as I was with Moses, I will be with you, and guess what? He'll be with you too. Joshua is going to be able to do what it takes because he has who it takes. So what Joshua has to do is to say yes to God before he knows any of the details of the journey. What he has is an invitation from God to step into the future planned for him and to step into it with courage, believing God is with him. You see, for you, every new land that God has for you, every vision God puts in your heart, every time you need to move from where you are to what God has for you, is going to require a step of courage. So, you might ask, where do I need God to be with me so I can be strong and courageous? And what if we actually said yes to God before we knew how it was going to turn out or how God was going to provide? So, as a church, I don't know how you're going to be involved specifically with Forward or what you're going to do as you respond to God. I am asking you in week number 1 to simply make a commitment to making a commitment. That's it. And that step alone is likely going to require some courage. Now, personally, what is it that God has waiting for you? What are you standing in now, but you know God has something next? And you're going to need to move from here to there to experience it. And that move is going to require courage. See, wherever you might sense fear in your life is the place where God wants you to have courage. And you'll have courage when you realize that he has gone before you and he is with you. And that is true for Christ Church, and that's true for you.